Hi everyone, it's Amanda. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I've read recently. These are all from 2023, but going forward they will all be from 2024, so I'm so happy to catch you up and be putting 2023 in the past. But be sure to like, subscribe down below for more bookish content from me. I'd love to have you here, and let's just get into it. Wow, I'm looking very ghostly today. Anyway, let's catch you up on the books that I've read recently. First, we have Court of Death by K.A. Knight. This is the second book after Court of Nightmares. However, you can read them as standalones. This one in particular is kind of a Hades and Persephone retelling. We follow the god of death. His name is Mors, and Avea, and she is a half mortal, half vampire. And she gives up 10 years of her life to the god of death in order to save her friend. And it is so good. It is very much the same kind of thing as any Hades and Persephone retelling. However, you get the K.A. Knight spice and tension. It was so good. I really love this one. I think I loved it even more than Court of Nightmares, because Court of Nightmares is kind of on the weirder side of things. You've got like spider shape-shifting, so you really gotta be in the mood for some monsters for that one. And this one is kind of more tame with the vampires. And there's still some unhinged things happening in this book, don't get me wrong. Morse has never really felt emotions before, but when he sees her for the first time, that's when he starts feeling. And it's so fun. And their chemistry was so hot. There was one scene where he teased her all night in her dreams, and then in the morning he had to attend to some emergency with the gods, and she ended up being alone, and she's like, where is Mors? Where is he at? I need him right now. And the thing is, they are enemies to lovers, so she doesn't want him, but in this case, she was absolutely feral. And this one is shorter as well, so that's always good. If you like Hades and Persephone retellings, give this one a shot. Then we have Caution Tape. This is an absolutely unhinged dark romance between two serial unalivers. These scenes in this book will have you questioning your morals. Like, something's wrong with me here, but I love that. So this one got 4 out of 5 stars. Nolan literally says, I want her wrapped in plastic, because he's out to get Cora. I loved how absolutely unhinged Cora and Nolan were. Basically, the story follows the progression of these psychopaths, and you get to be in their head and also follow these events that take place. And by events, I mean murders. And it was absolutely crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And there's also some steam that happens while these things are occurring, and you're just like, what am I reading? But the ending is what really had me raising the rating of this book. There's a cliffhanger, and we don't even know what's going to happen with the relationship. If you like There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark, give this one a shot. It is a little bit darker in my opinion, but it has the same energy, and that energy is unhinged. Then we have Dreadful by Greer Rivers. This is a revenge story. It's pitched as Sweeney Todd meets Medusa, and so that's what really intrigued me to it. Also, I loved Phantom by this author. Basically, this author has been taking Broadway musicals and making them into a dark romance kind of thing, and it's so fun. In this one, we have a revenge plot. So we follow Tally and Sever. Sever is the son of like a mafia leader, and he ends up being thrown into his uncle's dungeon when he's a kid. And there's this girl down there that is getting abused. So they end up teaming up together to try to make an escape plan, and the escape plan goes awry, and she ends up being attacked by the dogs on the property. She lives, but she's out for revenge against a bunch of different people, and she's going to get it no matter what it takes. And he's on her list because he left her behind. Fast forward, we have Sever, and he thinks that she's dead, and he's also on a revenge plot for her. So you can see where this is going. They end up meeting each other, but he doesn't know that it's her. She kind of knows that it's him, so she's deceiving him in a way. This one's really action-packed and fun. It has some twists and turns, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And what I really loved about this one was Sever and Tally. So Sever is a very much touch her and you die type guy. He's very protective, and Tally is a badass bitch, so it makes for good energy. Then on the yeehaw side of things, I read Reckless by Elsie Silver and Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Reckless I read after Hopeless because I thought that I wouldn't like it, but I was wrong. It's a surprise baby, so I wasn't sure that I would like this one, but I rated it 4.5 stars. Loved it so much. So we follow Winter and Theo in this book, Theo makes the book. I mean, Winter is the ice cold queen, as they call her. She hates that name, but that's what she's known as throughout the series. And then Theo is like this golden retriever hero, and he has a reputation of being a playboy, and they have a one-night stand in the beginning of the book, and they already have so much chemistry in the beginning. She gets pregnant, she lets him know, and he says, "Thanks for letting me know." Period. Why? So you get to figure out what's going on there. He comes back into town and ruffles feathers. I also loved Winter a lot more than I thought I would. She was very relatable in the ways that she dealt with her insecurity, and she was just going through so much. She was going through her divorce and her relationship with her family and trying to mend her relationship with her sister, who she was always mean to. So I really loved the buildup of her and Summer's relationship, and her and Theo building this great relationship that healed her past with her shitty ex. Highly recommend this one if you were thinking the same thing as me and that you wouldn't like it because of the tropes. I really think you might actually end up loving it. Then I read Hopeless, which was my #1 book of the year. If you want to go watch that video, I will link it. But I absolutely love this book. We follow Beau and Bailey. Beau is the damaged hero. He's dealing with a lot of PTSD. There's nightmare trope in here. And we follow Bailey, who has a really bad reputation. And they have a fake engagement. And that's one of my favorite tropes. So it's no wonder that I love this one. And I just really ended up loving their relationship. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews of Hopeless, but I ended up on the 5-star side of things. Next up is the only book in this list that I wouldn't recommend, and I hate saying it, so I'm gonna keep it short, but I did not like Grimstone by Sophie Lark. I rated it 2.5 stars. I just found it very predictable and just not what I was expecting, and so it really let me down, and I was really disappointed in that book. But in this one, we follow two siblings that end up in this haunted house that they want to flip because they inherited it, so might as well flip it and make it beautiful. But the next door neighbor is causing them a little bit of trouble. His name's Dane, and he has a horrible reputation in town because people think he killed his wife and son or daughter. I don't know if it's a son or daughter, but I just was so disappointed in how this played out and the predictability of it. There's a mystery involved as well as a romance, and I thought both were lacking. So if one of them would have been a lot better, I probably would have liked it a little bit more, but I felt like both the romance and the mystery slacked for me. Then I read Fall of Wrath and Ruin by JLA. This one was a 4-star read for me, and this one's a really fun introduction to her new series, and it does have a really original magic system. And it's a magic system that allows for a lot of spicy content to be had, because in this world, the highborns feed off pleasure. But our female main character in this one is named Callista. She has great intuition and mind reading abilities, which allows her to work for Baron Claude, who is a pretty powerful guy that uses her to find out people's intentions. Sometimes she can read their minds, so it's helpful for him. But one day she saves a highborn and hides him, and it spirals into this story. It has the who did this to you trope. There's really fun hurt comfort scenes, showering scenes, steamy stuff in this book, and it was really, really fun. The thing that knocked it down a star for me is really just the pacing of it. The middle chunk of the book, nothing really happened, and it was just a slower book in general. It definitely had that introduction to a fantasy feel to it. Then we have The Long Game, which was a 5-star rom-com for me. I absolutely loved this one. It was funny, it was heartwarming, it was everything that I wanted in a rom-com, just like The Spanish Love Deception. American Roommate Experiment I didn't love as much, but this one redeemed Elena Armas for me, and I can't wait for her next book. But in this one we follow Adeline. She works for her dad's team, and she ends up having this incident that goes viral online where she was attacking the team mascot. So instead of firing her, he ends up sending her to this small town to help turn around this team that she knows nothing about, who ends up being a children's soccer league. So enter a bunch of kids and their amazing honesty. It was so fun to have the kids as characters. And then we have our love interest, Cameron, who is an ex-pro soccer player who's hiding in this small town, and he's coaching the soccer team. And they start off on a pretty bad foot when I forget if she runs into him or his car, or she ends up running over like this chicken that she believes is his, or a rooster. I don't remember, but it was really, really fun. Then we have Hollow by Karina Halley. This one is a duet. The second one's called Legend, and this one's a Sleepy Hollow Why Choose romance that has witchy, creepy, mysterious vibes. There's student-teacher age gap in this book, as well as second chance childhood lovers. So it's super fun. The beginning kind of threw me off a little bit because we have a scene where she's like 15 and the guy's 18, and it's the prologue and it's like a flashback, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I really ended up enjoying it. It was just that prologue that kind of had me like, what? But this one has a great atmosphere to it. I think I put on Goodreads 5 out of 5 atmosphere and 3 out of 5 plot/romance, so I ended up on a 4 out of 5 for this one. But the ending was so much better than the beginning, so I'm looking forward to finishing Legend. I'm actually in the middle of it right now. I just put it down for a moment, but I can't wait to see how it finishes up. In the beginning of this book, I wasn't sure if I really liked Brahm, who is the childhood lover that comes back into her life, but I really loved Ichabod Crane, so I've been loving the steamy scenes. Then I read A Study in Drowning, which I had mixed feelings about, and this one we follow Effie, who loves this series about a fairy king that this author wrote, and this author's estate is up for a redesign. She's at the architecture school. She applies to do this redesign, and she actually gets in. And when she gets there, she ends up having to team up with this literary student. And there's a lot of layers to the story because she has always wanted to be at the literature school, but they won't let women in. So these students are rivals, but they do have to team up, and she thinks that she's seeing the fairy king everywhere. And there's definitely a creepy undertone to this book. And it was fun, but at the same time, it was very slow. And I just ended up not liking it as much as I thought I would, but I still gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This series is a great one. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. And in this story, the Jasmine character is the daughter of the richest man in the world who owns a jewelry company. And Julian, the Jafar character, is her dad's right-hand man. However, he is not considered to marry his daughter. And so he takes matters into his own hands when he catches her with a servant boy and manipulates her into thinking that a forced marriage with him will work out for both of them in the end. And there's so much tension and chemistry, a pretty good plot, but I will say this one was a little bit more predictable for me, which is one of the reasons why I didn't love this one as much, but I still really liked it. Still highly recommend this series, but I loved the next one even more, which is Crossed. This one is a forbidden romance. It is a way slower burn, but to me, this one felt even spicier than all the rest just because of how good their chemistry was. In this one, we follow Father Cade. He is a preacher, and he has come to this town to save it from all the sinners. And to do that, he kills people sometimes. And he sees our main character, Amaya, when she is dancing under her name Esmeralda. She's doing that to make more money because there's this guy in town who takes most of her money for the rent she has to pay. She's taking care of her brother, who is neurodivergent. And there's just a lot of layers to this story. It has a great plot and a very obsessive male main character, which I absolutely love. So those are all the books that I've read recently. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!